Hi, my name is Whitmore Kim, and my presentation is on worker stress. Worker stress refers to the physiological and or psychological reaction that we have to the different stressors in our workplace. And a stressor just refers to an environmental event that we perceive to be threatening to us. Worker stress can have different impacts on our work behavior, our health, and can lead to things such as burnout. A case study that we'll be looking at will be my experience working as a barista. Some of the working as a barista requires you to provide friendly customer service. You're welcoming your customers, being like helping out with anything that they need, and you're often working long hours, standing up, and you're constantly moving around. You're making drinks. You're serving the food. You're making sure the shop is clean. You're bussing tables, and you also need to make sure that the coffee that you're serving meets the standards of the shop, and to make sure that each coffee is tasty, that the food and the cups are clean, and everything like that. You're also constantly on your toes, making sure the customer's needs are met, and if they need anything, if they have any questions, you're there to help them, and to also um, yeah, making sure that if your boss or your manager asks you to do something, you're able to do that as well. Some sources of stress that can come working as a barista is when the store is really busy and there's heavy foot traffic. It can get loud. People, customers can be demanding. There can be some difficult customers where they can be rude to you. Um, yeah, and like I said, there's often physical demands. You're working 6 to 8 hours with just a couple of breaks in between. Um, Coffee shops often open early, and so you have to be there at early hours. Um, yeah, wake up early. And yeah, another source of stress can be when you're working with new coworkers, just because it is a part time job for a lot of people. There's higher turnover rates, and it requires new coworkers to come in, but it can take some time for them to adjust. So it can be stressful having to work with them just because you feel like um, you have to be aware of more things. Yeah, and according to the textbook, there are different sources of stress for worker stress. There's the work task stressors, which refers to work overload, meaning that people feel like they have too much stuff on their hands. They feel like they're unable to keep up with just the demands of your work, or the opposite of that is underutilization, where you feel like you don't have enough to do, and that can also be a source of stress. Some work role stressors can come from having job ambiguity, when your physical work conditions are too demanding for you, when your relationship with your coworkers or even your customers um, is difficult, and some other, and etc. And some individual sources of work stress can come from your behavior patterns, your personality, your susceptibility to stress, or your resistance to stress can affect your work stress, and your self efficacy can also affect that. And some of the effects that work stress has on you can be negative physical health, negative emotional health on you. It can um, cause your work performance to decrease, and it can cause higher turnover rates at the job, or people to feel burnt out. And yeah, a research that studied this topic um, was in Ontario, Canada, and they researched construction industry, and just asking the question of how the safety climate and individual resilience can affect the safety performance and job stress for those construction workers in Canada. Um, the research was a correlational design, and the predictors were safety, climate, and individual resilience. And the criterion for each of the predictors were the safety, performance, and psychological stress. And the research study had findings which showed that individual resilience had a negative correlation to stress, meaning if they had higher resilience, they're likely less likely to get stressed, and but there was no real correlation to the physical safety outcomes. But the safety climate had a negative correlation to both stress and physical safety outcomes, meaning where the workers, if the workers thought the safety climate was high, then they're less likely to be stressed, and they're likely to have um, less physical dangers. Yeah, based on just the textbook and the research, I think some solutions to reducing worker stress in my case would be to increase communication in those busy hours, to ask your coworkers to be a support system for you, um, asking your bosses, your managers for any clarification. And yeah, and another way that we can improve or reduce worker stress would be to providing the new workers with the proper training. And for individual solutions, it would be to have a healthier lifestyle outside of work, to exercise more, to get more sleep before your shifts, and just to try and improve your individual resilience to different stressors. Thank you.